Mike. Yeah, it's, the assignment's going, it's pretty hard out here. You sure that Tom really needed me on the secret assignment?
Yeah, no, Tom was telling me that we're short one wall card in Rhino Hero, so we definitely need you to check for that.
Yeah, it's just that there's a lot of boxes. And it's really cold and the rats are starting to get to me.
Yeah, definitely.
My space heater's broken. Also, I think it's a hairdryer.
Oh, hey, Chris, big emergency. I gotta go.
Mike? Mike, come on, man. I know you're there. Mike! You there? Hey, everybody. Welcome out to another Dice Tower Rapid Fire Roundup. My name is Chris, and for the next 10 minutes, I'll be your host, taking you on a journey through 10 games that starting with the least fun, the less goodest game of them all. I speak so well, Lee. My least favorite game of the bunch that I played over this last month to my favorite one. Now, these are games that I didn't review because there's a lot more garbage games that I reviewed. I did a separate review of just those 5. And there's a lot of great games that I also reviewed. So these are the ones that somebody else reviewed or I didn't really have a hand in, so I wanted to discuss them a little bit. So let's start with the game Twins. Game for which I will never forgive Mike DeLisio. It's not that bad, but it's also not that good. Twins is a Little Rhino Knizia card game. You're dealt some at the start of each round, and you're basically just choosing 2 of them at a time to play. You don't want to be the lowest, have the worst pair of them this round. You want to have the best pair this round. Lowest, again, gets knocked out. So you want to get knocked out, don't want to get knocked out, you want to win coins. It's okay, but it's a little bit unintuitive, and the graphic design is awful. It makes it even less intuitive, so I don't recommend Twins at all. But I don't know if I recommend Twins, the Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I haven't seen it for a while. I'll report back sometime. But let's move on to a better game. This one's called Radlands. Radlands is a head-to-head card combat style game. Now I'm going to say this right out the gate. Not my style of game, but I wanted to try it out because it sounds like it's really streamlined and it's very clean at what it does, and I liked all of those things about it. This is a game that I enjoy, right? Twins is the only game here that I did not enjoy out of these 10 I'm discussing, but Radlands is not my style of game. So how do I kind of feel about that overall? It's hard to assign a numerical score to it, for example, right? That's one of the things with the Foursquare review. The people in there who weren't wild about that type of game, how do you rate it? I think that this one is good. If I'm going to play a head-to-head combative little game like this for a small deck of cards, this is one that I'm going to come to. But I think that Dice Throne, also by Roxley, who made Radlands, kind of does everything that I like about the head-to-head combative style, but better. Something about the excitement of the dice. But Radlands is well designed. It gets rid of a lot of the keywords and stuff that bogs down a lot of those types of games that stuff I really hate. It has a fun little event track on the side where you can always send a convoy out to attack your enemy's bases. So the game always pushes towards the end game, which I appreciate. Smart design. If I'm going to play something like this, though, I think I'm going to lean towards Dice Throne. Let's move on to Tumble Town. Won't you take me to Tumble Town? Not my finest work. Not exactly. But Tumble Town is a great little game. It's by Weird Draft Games. This one's neat. I like it quite a bit. The biggest thing is that it's like a dice drafting style of game, and then you're trying to roll these dice to make different combinations of colors of the dice and the numbers on them to make buildings. And I like that. I like that combo quite a bit. You place the buildings out into your town, you can earn some little bonuses. Hey, all of this is great. The biggest issue is that it's honestly a little bit short. It's already a light game, but it feels too short as well. And so what I want to do, there's a variant where you can play 2 players. Normally you play with only half the dice. But you play 2 players and you play with all the dice, so you have a little more time to invest in your Tumbletown, and I really want to play it that way, because everything about this game is charming and good, a little bit light and a little bit short, so I want just a hair more from it. Let's go now to the Moon. We're going to Moon Adventure. This is a game by Oink Games, who also made Twins, anyway, I already dunked on that enough, but Moon Adventure. This is a smart cooperative game based on deep sea adventure. It still uses a roll and move type mechanism. You roll 2 dice. That's how many actions you have on your turn, but because it's cooperative, I don't mind that. I don't mind that on Mike's turn, he has 5 actions. Wendy's turn, she has 4, and I rolled 2. Oh no, right? Because that affects the whole team. But there's really good ways to work with each other, share oxygen so you don't run out of it, set up little, not obstacles, but set up little like jump over points so people with fewer movement can actually move further down. I think this is a great little cooperative twist on Deep Sea Adventure. Really, I really do. If you find this somewhere, it might be hard to find stateside, but if you do see it somewhere and you like small little self-contained co-op games, this one's good. Let's move now to Viking Seesaw. This is yet another Reiner Knizia game. Viking Seesaw is one of the dumbest games on this list, but it's higher up on this list because I like it. You're putting materials of different weights into this little teeter-totter type wood thing in the middle. It's a little seesaw, and why is it a Viking Seesaw? I have no idea. But you're putting materials of different weights onto the side that is higher up, and you're trying to not be the one that tips it over. There's a lot of games that kind of do this thing, even designed by Reiner Knizia. Oh, keep playing cards out to try to get up to 21, but don't cross it, stuff like that. But this one does it in such a fun physical form factor that I really do recommend it, off of nothing but silliness, really. And it's cute. Also, pretty sure it's going to be hard to find, but hey, it's nice, having a buddy like Mike DeLisio in the game group who likes to buy these strange little, trinket-type games. Let's move on to Floriferous. Floriferous is a card game. You have a row of cards sitting out in front of you, and then you'll choose, on your turn, you move your pawn onto either the highest one or any of the rows below it. But the card that you choose at the top is probably going to have the least bonuses. The card on the bottom will have the most little bonuses on it. But then the next round, after everybody's gone, that's the new turn order. If you took the least great card this round, you'll get to go first next round. This is a mechanism lifted from King Domino, but the difference with Floriferous is you have a display of several columns across from the start of the game, so you see what you're working towards. You get to the end, you refill it, and you move backwards, you refill it, and you move forwards. The idea of being able to see the layout of the cards for the round is really clever. It makes this one a fun set collection game that, even though it's very lightweight, simple, very much like a lot of Dr. Finn's games, I think that this one works really well, has fun decisions in it, fun set collection, beautiful theme and art and all that stuff, so I like it. I like Floriferous quite a bit. And now, CoraQuest. CoraQuest is a kids' dungeon crawl game. I don't love dungeon crawl games. I really enjoy this one for the fun of it because it's very geared towards kids and it's going to bring out excitement for kids. I have fun with it too. The dice rolls are extremely lucky. There's not a ton of mitigation on that, but there shouldn't be in a way. This should be a little bit more easy of a rule set. And so my kid enjoys this one quite a lot and has already been asking if we can write stories and create characters. And that for me is the biggest thing, the biggest draw about it, is that it's a fun system with which you can create and be creative. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I would recommend this for families. The other thing, too, is that my biggest drawback about it is that it's long. It's still too long even with the short game variant option in the rule book. So instead of playing with every 4 cards, there's a story card trigger. Then the next every 4 cards is 1 story card trigger. We play with 3 in each stack. We play with 3 characters, 3 people, because there's only 3 of us in the family, and we shorten the deck, and that works really well. I don't always house rule games. I seldom try to and everything, but because this is such a creative game, I felt like that's a very good way to approach it. So I like taking out some of the cards, making it quicker. Let's go now to Star Wars Jabba's Palace. Hey, Love Letter exists. Have you heard of that game? Have you heard of the 17 different printings of it with different themes on it? How about a Star Wars one? But I like this one a lot. I really do. I think the theme is fine, right? I love Star Wars a lot. Who cares, right? It's Star Wars Love Letter. I don't need that. But the way that they split up the deck into 2 different factions, there's Jabba's loyal cards and then there's Rebel cards. And I think that's smart. I think they did a good thing with that because it allows to have the same number, but cards that have different effects. It's almost a throwback to me to Lovecraft Letter, where there were different types of cards, but this one does it in a little less sprawling of a way. It still feels more tight and compact, and there's really neat little changes to the numbers. The number 8 is no longer you lose the game if you play it down, but you can knock out a rebel player. I think that's cool, right? But you're playing the 8 down, and you probably want to keep the 8 for later so you don't get knocked out by other cards that make you compare numbers and stuff. This is a great little version of Love Letter. I enjoy it quite a lot, and it has my favorite card in it now, the Rancor, where when you play the Rancor, you start counting at the number 1. 1, anyone at the table? 2, anyone at the table? 3. Oh, someone has a 3, they get knocked out. It just works the way up the chain. That is one of the most fun and wild mechanisms I've ever seen in Love Letter. I love it. All right, let's go now to Marvel United X-Men. This is a game that I've been playing with my kid a lot, and even though it's not the newest hot game right now, we've been rewatching the X-Men movies and the X-Men animated series from the 90s, and obviously this leans a lot into that 90s aesthetic and everything with all the characters. But I gotta say, out of the two base boxes of Marvel United, the regular one and then the X-Men one, this X-Men one is better. It gives you more variety of villains, which I think is really where a lot of the variety of the game is going to feel like it comes from. I like the characters. I like the fact that some of the characters have unique starting cards in their hand. Wolverine has a healing factor card. That makes sense. There's so many little deviations that I think are for the better. So if you're looking to buy only a base box, because let's be honest, who needs $500 worth of an all-in pledge for a children's game, even though I like all the stuff, right? But if you're looking for just a base box, I recommend the X-Men one. Hopefully you can find that available places for a good deal, because I think it's a good kids game, family game. I like it a lot. Let's go now to the last Reiner Knizia game on this list, and that is Siege of Runedar. This is a cooperative deck building game. It has a really interesting presentation. It's a big box. It's bigger than your normal Ticket to Ride box, but it's got a fun castle. It's got neat pieces. You need to protect your gold in the middle. You need to dig rubble and stuff out of one of the sides. But trolls and orcs and goblins and stuff are running in from the sides. It feels like next step Castle Panic in a way. But you're doing deck building and there's a lot of cooperation and discussing and even though there's a lot of luck with the game, you roll dice. It's just like CoraQuest. There's not a lot of mitigation for when you roll the dice, but it leads to lots of moments of excitement. Reiner Knizia games are often very cerebral and thinky and good, but not always like stand up and shout excitement moments. And so I like that he did this game because it feels like a Knizia, it's clever like a Knizia, but also it's smashing and fighting and digging out treasure. It's really good. I like Siege of Runedar a lot. And lastly, this is the best one here. This is in the fantastic territory, top of the top. This is the expansion for Paladins of the West Kingdom called City of Crowns. City of Crowns adds 2 new actions into Paladins of the West Kingdom, and there's a little part of me that feels like, oh, but everything is so tight and perfect in Paladins. Do I want 2 more actions to kind of muck up the perfectly good flow? I feel like this is a tough expansion because now you do have more variety of actions you can take, but the 2 new ones, I think that they do a good job of working with the others and slightly integrating with them, but not being necessary and not messing up the balance of this action requires I moved up on the black track, but it lets me move up on the red track. So I can do this action, which moves up the red track, requires me to be moved up on the red track, but moves me up the blue track. That synergistic balance is still there. It doesn't mess with it, but it gives you more options of what you can do with workers. It gives you more options of little ways to get more workers back, actually. And I think that there's a lot that's so great about this. This is not an essential expansion, though. Unless Paladins is the game that you've really dived into, like I have, and played a lot of it, I think you got plenty in the base box. You will be fine. But if you really are a big aficionado of this type of game, of Garfield games, and especially Paladins itself, then I think this is a really rewarding expansion. And you're the type of person who's played a lot, you'll like the variety that this stuff adds in. So, 10 games that I've kind of gone through in a rapid fire fashion. So hope that was helpful, hope that was fun. Thanks for coming out to another Dice Tower video. My name is Chris Yee. Have yourselves a great day.